Welcome to Quickcasts from Yoga for First Responders. I'm Eric Brenneman, and in these bite-sized episodes, we'll bring you quick insights and practical tips on the power of yoga, breathwork, mindfulness, and meditation specifically for first responders. Whether you're on a quick break or between calls, we've got a nugget of wisdom to help you stay resilient and focused. Let's dive right in. Over the past several years, we've had hundreds, arguably thousands of first responders come through Yoga for First Responders Instructor School. Firefighters, police officers, dispatchers, corrections, probation officers, tactical medics, yoga teachers, civilians. People who carry enormous responsibility for others. And one thing we hear over and over again from people who go through the training is some version of the same sentence. This experience changed me. Sometimes it's said quietly at the end of the week. Sometimes it's said with emotion. Sometimes people don't even quite know how to explain what changed. They just know that something shifted. For a long time, I've asked myself why that is. Why does a week of breath work, movement, yoga philosophy, and tactical stress training create that kind of transformation? What's actually happening during that week? Recently, I stepped back as we just concluded an instructor school and looked at the experience from a different perspective. Instead of focusing on the individual practices that we teach, the breathing, the movements, the neuroscience behind why we do what we do, I kind of asked a different question. What is the deeper pattern behind the transformation? And when I stepped back and looked at it that way, something became very clear. The training works because it develops people across 5 essential pillars that every capable human being needs. 5 pillars. Let's list them off. Command, clarity, contribution, continuity, and maybe most importantly, connection. When you step back and look at instructor school through this lens, you begin to see why the experience is so powerful. Because during that single week, people are actually moving through all 5 of those pillars. They're not just learning techniques, they're actually developing their personal capability. And that's when the experience becomes transformative. But before we talk about those pillars, I want you to hear directly from someone who just went through the training.
I thought I was signing up to teach yoga at my fire academy. They gave me tools to live better. They kicked my ass. They made me cry. It was a transformative experience, and I can't wait to bring this home to the people I care about most.
What Jeff just described is something we hear constantly. People arrive thinking they're signing up for a training. But what they experience is something deeper. They experience growth. They experience challenge. They experience connection. And that leads to an experience of transformation. And that transformation begins with the first pillar, command. Command is the ability to regulate your own physiology under stress. Your breathing, your nervous system, how you react. First responders operate in environments that constantly push the nervous system into high activation states. Your heart rate spikes, your breathing becomes shallow, your vision narrows, your brain shifts into survival mode. You've all experienced it because those responses are natural. They are part of how the human body protects itself from danger. But the problem is that many people never learn how to bring themselves back down. They never learn how to regulate the nervous system once it's been activated. And over time, that dysregulation builds. stress accumulates, fatigue accumulates, emotional weight accumulates. What we teach through breathwork and movement is not just yoga. It's training the nervous system to remain composed in the middle of chaos. It's learning how to shift gears, how to control your breathing, how to calm your physiology, how to stay present in the moment. Because the truth is this: command is the foundation of capability. If you cannot regulate yourself, nothing else works. You cannot think clearly, you cannot lead effectively, you cannot process stress in healthy ways. Everything begins with command. And sometimes the most powerful reminder of that comes down to something incredibly simple. Something as simple as your next breath. Listen to this perspective from another participant.
Hi guys, my name is Jessie and I just completed YFFR's Instructor School in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Getting the opportunity to be a part of this instructor training for yoga and tactical breathwork with first responders has been an incredible experience. Sitting in a room with people who carry so much responsibility for others has been both humbling and incredibly inspiring. Learning to teach breath as a tool for resilience, for processing stress, and for sharpening performance feels deeply meaningful. It has really opened my eyes to just how important this work is, because sometimes the most powerful thing we can offer the nervous system in the middle of chaos is simply the next breath.
What Jessie just said captures something incredibly important. Sometimes the most powerful thing we can offer the nervous system in the middle of chaos is simply the next breath. Once people begin to regain control of their physiology, something interesting happens. They begin to get clarity. Clarity is the second pillar. Clarity is awareness. Awareness of how stress affects you. Awareness of the patterns you carry. Awareness of the habits that shape your reactions. And awareness of what actually matters. When the nervous system begins to settle down, people start seeing themselves differently. They begin noticing the ways that stress shows up in their lives, the ways they respond under pressure, the ways they communicate with the people around them. And sometimes that clarity can be uncomfortable because growth often requires us to step outside the box that we've been living in for so long. But that discomfort is also where transformation begins. Strength without clarity can easily be misdirected. Clarity gives strength, direction. It helps people understand themselves. And when people begin to understand themselves, they begin to grow. Listen to how one participant described that experience.
This class was so much more than what I thought. It has been so far out of my box. I am so thankful for the opportunity to grow and to gain the skills to help my fellow probation officers. These are skills every first responder should have.
Christy said something powerful there. This class was so much more than what I thought. That's again a common experience. People arrive expecting one thing, and they leave having discovered something entirely different. They leave having grown. And once someone begins developing both command and clarity, something else begins to shift. Their focus moves outward. Instead of asking what they're getting from the training, they begin asking a different question. How can I help others with this? And that's where the next pillar emerges: contribution. Contribution is where capability becomes service. It's where someone takes what they've learned and begins applying it to support the people around them, their crew, their department, their agency, their community. First responders understand this instinctively. Service is part of their identity. But what we see during instructor school is that people begin to realize They now have tools that can genuinely help others. Tools that help regulate stress. Tools that help people recover. Tools that help people perform under pressure. And that realization often creates a powerful sense of purpose. Because when capability meets service, purpose begins to emerge. And from contribution comes the next pillar, continuity. Continuity is the moment someone decides they're going to carry this work forward. They're not just learning it. They're not just practicing it. They're bringing it home, back to their firehouses, back to their police departments, their probation offices, their agencies. They begin teaching it, sharing it, passing it forward. And that's how cultures actually change. Not through programs, but through people carrying the work forward. Listen to how one participant from our most recent instructor school described that moment.
Hey everyone, my name is Lynn and I just completed a fabulous week at YFFR Instructor School. I met this amazing group of people who I now call friends. This by far was the best hands-on training I have been to in my 30 plus years in the health and wellness industry. It was organized, full of information, and just jam-packed from beginning to end. With those qualified instructors, I left the training motivated, prepared, and confident to help serve those who serve others.
When Lynn says she left motivated, prepared, and confident to help serve those who serve others, she's describing contribution and continuity. She's describing the moment someone steps into leadership, the moment someone decides to carry the work forward. But there's one final pillar that holds all of this together: connection. First responders operate in environments where trust matters, where teamwork matters, where knowing that the person next to you has your back can mean everything. And one of the most powerful things we consistently see during instructor school is the connection that forms between people who may have never met before. People from different agencies, different states, different backgrounds, but who now share a common mission. They challenge each other. They support each other. They learn together. And by the end of the week, they often feel like they've known each other for years. Because shared challenge builds that connection. And connection builds trust. Without connection, strength becomes isolated. But with connection, strength becomes culture. There's strength in unity. And when you step back and look at instructor school through this lens, you begin to see something clearly. We're not just teaching yoga. We're not just teaching breathing techniques. Those are the tools. What we're really doing is helping develop capable humans. Humans who can regulate themselves under stress. Humans who understand themselves more clearly. Humans who use their strength to serve others. Humans who carry that knowledge forward, and humans who build real connection with the people around them. And when capable humans go back to their departments, their agencies, and their communities, that's when real change begins.
Hey, before we go, I want to remind you that training your mental and physical health is incredibly important, especially for those working in high-stress jobs like first responders.
And if you're interested in learning more about yoga for first responders, visit yogaforfirstresponders.org for our on-demand training app, online course platform, in-person training, and more.
Like this podcast, subscribe, and give us a great review. We are so happy to have you part of the YFFR mission.